Hello, and welcome to Pillars of Eternity. Alright,
Right here.
good to know. Let's level you up. We're gonna go with mechanics for you. Backstab, as always. That's an amazing skill. Hmm. You know, Reckless Assault will actually be very good for you. Okay, let's see. Vulnerable attacks, blows, 200, 2 weapon style, there you are. By the way, because you're a trapper, you should be amazing with that. Deep wound, raw damage. Dirty fighting. Let's go with deep wound. Deflecting assault. Outlander's Frenzy. Once per encounter. Channels power similar to the barbarians. Mounting Constitution while lowering deflection. Okay, that's good. Let's go with that. It's gonna be fine. Repose. Well, you're not gonna avoid attacks, you're just gonna flank people. Adept Evasion. Incoming grazes are converted to misses. Yeah. Position. Crippling. 35. You know, we can do that. Why not? Shadowing Beyond. Vicious Fighting. Pulls the rogue skill with Devious Maneuver, increasing the hits that are converted to critical hits when using Dirty Fighting. Yeah, sure. This one is actually, I'm pretty glad about this one, so I can go with that. You were supposed to be the last level if I'm not mistaken. Savage Attack. Modal. Melee accuracy goes down. Can I use that? Okay. Let's go with it. Incoming grazes are converted to misses, incoming hits are converted to grazes, dead blow. I actually haven't seen this in action. Let's go with Smoke Cloud. Wait, I think it does what it does, right? Distracted. On all the target's defenses by 6, and number by engagement by 1. So let's see.
Right here.
Yes, you can have both of them activated at the same time. This should be good. Let's get out of here.
Uh-huh. Got it done.
Good. Difficulty 12. Right, did we see if there are any secrets in here?
Keeping an eye out.
Oh, there are books. That's great. And scrolls. Major regeneration. Go with that. Wait, was that stealing? What do you think you're doing? Nothing. I'm not losing reputation with anyone, so there is no penalty for actually doing that. I need to get to the village at some point, just so I can equip some good things on you. Let's leave, shall we? Okay. That was a good location to be in, but I think we should do something else. You know, I think this is the first companion since the original that I actually like. And I don't even know that much about her, except that I know that I didn't like the other guys. And again, they weren't very well introduced, the other ones. And yes, she's a murderer, but what can you do?
Quietly now.
Okay, take this and take him. Oh, thanks for that. Okay.
I'm here.
Oh, you're confused. I want this one dead. Focus. Really? Yeah, well, we'll rest after we go back to the village, but still, I was hoping you'd do a little bit better. Well? Seriously, I'm gonna miss. What was that about? Bloody mage. Who's this? And this.
Yeah?
Infest them with maggots. Attack the bloody mage! What the hell? Well, you can use that spell apparently. Oh, yeah, that hurt you more than it hurt him, so... Finish it. Hey, remember when battles made sense. Knock him down. Holy power. Go ahead. Can you please finish this one? Use it. Make sure you hit, okay? Okay. So, what, you just gave up? That was a hit, apparently. Get out of here.
Big fella's down.
I don't think you'll be able to walk anymore. I mean, at all. Yeah, I need to give you decent weapons. You're no good with those.
Gonna.
So yours. Really? How? Scouts go rogue. Try again. I want to see why you messed up first time. And the second. Because you rolled a 2.
I'm here. Got
Okay, blind her at least.
Can't get a
I
good
have to
shot
see
at
what
this.
armor she has. This is just not normal. I need to make a killed. A fine plate. Really? That's it? The forgotten tear of the beloved. Oh yeah, that's gonna save you.
I'm here.
Everyone get out of there. You. I want you to attack.
I'm here.
Yeah, I know. Oh. I'm sorry. Switch that weapon.
Leave it to me.
Thanks for that. I mean, that's gonna kill the Cypher, so just finish it. Bloody hell. Oh, you're still done. That's amazing. Hey, remember when you had fortitude defense? Yeah, it's 93.
Quietly now.
Frankly, I didn't believe you can crit him after that, but hey. Who am I to question the game, right? At least we don't have to deal with those guys anymore. And what is this? Battery watchtower. We'll explore it at some point.
I'll take a look.
Intellect. You have a medallion, you have a cape. Those are the same things, are they not? Okay, we need to find 2 weapons for her. Actually, why don't you take this one? That way we'll have a crush weapon.
Laying low.
Crush weapon. Okay. But if I enter this tower, I'm gonna be ambushed by ghosts.
Laying low.
I'll keep an eye out.
Keeping an eye out.
I don't want to go there right now. Do we know where this leads? I don't think it leads anywhere. Hey, these are leveled up. Still not certain what to do with those. I mean, she's an artist, that's part of her biography. I do believe this place I was not able to proceed forward to. Let's go back to the village.
Right here.
Blunder's Frenzy, combat only. Should be fine.
Right here.
I just want to take a look at that. Melee damage, melee accuracy goes down, but we also have melee accuracy. Oh! Oh!
Right here.
Why? How does the game even calculate that? There's your melee accuracy. That's kinda pointless. And I'm actually not certain if that's how that will work now. Do we have anything in the Cadnua? No. Okay. Go back to the village.
Didn't think I'd miss this place. Had that much right.
Sure. Let's talk.
Village was a touch livelier when I saw it last. Ain't saying much, though.
Maybe they saw you coming and went to hide.
As long as they don't come back with rocks in hand, that's fine by me.
Why did you want to come back anyway?
Anything's better than Galvino's workshop. You ain't heard the old buzzard sing.
I think we have.
Anyway, what about you? We seen lots coming through, trying to crack the battery, but no watchers.
I've got my treasures in the Dunring's battery.
Treasures with sharp edges and spiky bits, right? Those come in handy.
Exactly.
But don't let me keep you from the sights and sounds of Stalwart. They're easy to miss.
Yeah, it has a certain charm, this little village. You and Galvino had an unusual relationship.
Only kind to have with someone like him. Or me.
You resent him?
No other way to feel about the man who flayed my living soul.
So how long have you two known each other?
Around about 13 years. Too long, you ask me.
She claimed he made you.
He'd spread butter on bread and claim he made something. Never been accused of modesty, that man. He managed to stuff my soul into this heap of bronze, true enough. Maybe that makes him a genius. Also makes him a son of a bitch.
Did you ever consider murdering him?
Every day. Just kept putting it off. It's not like either of us was going anywhere.
What exactly was it that you were doing for him?
Looked after his tools, cleaned the workshop, swung the sledgehammer. Oh, and snatched up travelers for his soul tinkering.
Those other golems, you mean?
But don't you worry. They were all bad folk.
It's fine by me.
Just so you know, you got a real professional working for you.
Ah, okay. That's where you were going with that. Cool.
Yeah, I've had enough of them too.
What was your life like before the Saints' War?
There weren't much to say about it. By my reckoning, that means it was pretty good.
She nodded thoughtfully.
Ma was a trapper, taught me to set snares and dress game. Dad was a tinker. I never had his patience, but it were fun to watch him work. My brothers and sister, they was good folk too. Part of me's glad they ain't here to see me now.
Why do I get the feeling you're not welcomed here?
I got a reputation. People in these little villages ain't the most open-minded.
Did you murder someone?
Not yet.
You answered pretty quickly. Something you're not telling me?
Plenty. But nothing you need to know.
Okay. So am I supposed to believe you came all this way? 13 years ago for the secrecy?
Believe what you want. I killed a lot of folk. But none of them was in Stalwart.
I have no idea why I said secrecy back then, by the way. I read its scenery. I knew the word. About Durgan's battery.
Just 'cause I'm made of metal don't mean I got any special fondness for smiths and forges.
You know anything about it?
No more than what Galvino already told you.
Do you remember any other expeditions that came to Galvino?
Nothing specific. Everyone looks about the same when they got their fingers up their noses. Only the last group, one before you, there was something different about them. Couldn't put my finger on it, but they was dangerous. Almost felt the hair on the back of my neck.
She runs her hand along smooth segment bronze on her neck.
Ain't felt that way about anyone else. Till you walked through Galvino's door, that is.
Sounds fine.
Murder, tracking, and the best materials for kindling. Those are more my area of expertise.
Right. Good to know that we have a real professional with us. Anyway. So you're gonna keep this saber on this hand because accuracy goes up. I don't know what it is, it's just that I really like her with the turban on. Anyway. Exceptional rapier. That's better than your spear, I bet. Right, now that we're in town, actually I can give you some proper weapons. See, you're gonna keep good friend with you. The Yliel. An exceptional spear. I remember this one. Crush and pierce. Firebow once per rest. You know, I could bind this to my dwarf, or whatever he is. My druid. This is exceptional, and this is fine. Yeah, bind it. 200 raw damage to enemies. Well, from this point on, you're gonna use that. Careful not to break it, okay? Hmm. 22. And these boots? Ray of Pain, okay. First of all, we don't need those traps in us, right now, at least. You can go here. I'm gonna keep this. And this. Calvino's Response Amplifier. Major Regeneration, cool. Okay, that looks fine. We have gloves, spouted damage, 10%. Deflection. Definitely giving this to you then. Next, helmets and rings and other stuff. Do you like the helmet? It actually fits her somehow. There, you're completely unknown right now. No one's even gonna guess what's behind that helmet. Belt. Defense against spells. Guess you can wear that. Perception +2. Only usable by rangers, that's for the neck. Flexion plus something. This is not going to stack. Grazes will be converted to misses. Combusting wounds. This gives you 1 intelligence. I guess you can wear that. Friendly aura. Trip to perception. Here, it fits your mask. We also need some boots, if we can find any. Oh, there are these ones. I have to read about this one. And what is this? A flail. It's all crushing damage though. Okay, let's give this back to you. Damage reduction to freeze. Don't need that, or this. Eldritch aim, why don't you take those? Restore light endurance. No one's using these. You have a fine sword in your hand. I think we had an exceptional one. There it is. Okay, that's 3 types of damage we have now. Forgotten Tear of the Beloved. Devotee of Ondra tells stories of her romance with the moon, especially her unquarreled love for Saint Belafar. Yet it was Ironi Barrett, the smaller of the 2 moons that Ondra put into the sea thousands of years ago. Small fragments of Fionor Bathar are believed to exist in some of the more remote places of Elra, lost tokens of the goddess' passion. Such moon fragments and the cards take lakes that often do around them form are known as Ondra's Tears. This flail is made with piece of Ion Berath that was discovered by some of the Pelgranian dwarves exploring the White March. This copper locket is a legacy of the ingredients early soul experiments. Crystalline Saudis, yeah, we've read about this. And this. Echoing Misery. These boots were originally designed and made to punish runaway slaves, and lords who commissioned them would force tempts of runaways to wear them for a week straight, walking and sleeping. The soul were stirred, and paddles and shards that ground against the wearer's feet, while the leather crafted swords into the heel. By the end of the week most who wore the boots could barely walk, yet the slaves in the manor rose up and summoned the Afingi. Once the Afingi had compelled the bloody work, the slaves discovered an unexpected boon. Boots had once been punishment, had transformed into something comfortable and likely valuable. The surviving slaves argued over the boots, and when words turned to blow, the daughter of the man who'd come to Afingi grabbed them and ran. She never looked back. Ray of Pain. Once per encounter, if you get critically wounded, and defense when disengaging, you can wear that. Let's not forget the Afingi is something you become after you sacrifice your soul to the gods or whatever it is. This helmet somehow fits her. Don't even care about the spike. It's a cape. We can sell that. We don't care about this. We're gonna keep the grimoires. Why don't you take? No, actually, I'm gonna keep them on myself. She has outdone herself with this one. Bestlier, a common robber with unnatural tamils for cipher ability. It has gone to his head. He is the next Antonio. Okay. Exceptional Scepter, okay. You know, we haven't found many helmets that are actually, good, or even okay. The Grass Rest.
On the hunt.
Right. Let's first finish the quest for the dwarf over there. How can you be having swollen eye? Do I need to fix that? You can just say damaged eye. Nope.
I hope you've had some luck, and do take care with that device. It has a few rather delicate components.
I didn't find any ore deposits, but I did find these.
What? So it works? What a day! But why these gems? I didn't think the device would be able to pick up inert Audra. Fascinating. I have to study this further, but all the same, it worked! At last, a breakthrough! With that Audra to work from, I can refine the enchantments. We'll be digging up iron, gold, Audra, all of it!
You know, these gems look pretty valuable.
Huh? Oh, I see. but they're far more important as evidence than as trinkets. I can't possibly offer you what Iterin can, but I can give you what coin I do have.
You know what? I'm happy to help. I don't need the gold.
This is going to change everything. Oh, and I won't leave you empty-handed, of course. Here, I had this set aside for supplies, but I don't think I'll be staying in Stalwart much longer.
You still need supplies even if you're not staying here. In fact, you need even more supplies.
I won't forget all you've done for me. They'll hear about this back home, I promise you. Who knows? Perhaps they'll name the next battery after you.
Why? It's not something I want or care about. Some of us are pretty close to a level up. Right. The one that got away. A good how. Fiara, traveling scout expeditioner, was attacked near Dungan's battery. She lost her companions and their effects. Okay. Which one was Ferrara or whatever her name is? Oh dear.
Feels like it's hardly worth putting the huts back up.
Better than standing out here shivering.
So let's just stand here and do nothing. We really make no sense. Maybe she's in the inn actually. Let's go inside. Anyway, bards and villagers. Hey there, good timing. You can watch me taunt Bethlen. Knew you'd love this place, Yliel. 100, you won once. Okay. Read 100 so. Handful of memories dart across my mind, like startled flesh, leaving indistinct images and sounds in their wake. For a moment I overwhelmed, until one particular recollection tugs at my senses with stubborn face. You or under, or both, kneel on a stone floor, held between two men. The man facing in front of you wears an armor of Crucible Knight, and you feel under half-hearted contempt, as if it were your own. You feel Andred's triumph, too, when the knight comes just close enough for you to spit blood onto his boots. The memory slips away from you, and you find yourself back at your own shoes.
You got the look of someone with his teeth around a secret.
Her cold fingers are locked around your arm. Her black eyes searched me.
She's looking at you the way attractive female lions look at me.
She doesn't have eyebrows, dude. Ah, it's our ogre-slaying friend. Have they crowned you King of Southward yet? A friend doesn't mean to be an ass, sir. It just comes natural. What I want the crown? Bathron, the whiff of salt and brain is at your nostrils before the room has evaded. The ground house beneath my feet, and spray of ocean water roars over the railing, and the ship hails under the wind. The ship shrugs violently, and I am thrown against the railing. It is at that moment I found my gaze pulled onto the pitched surface of the dark sea, and see there an eye, bored as shield, gazing back at me in turn. Fear and fascination swept through my mind, even as my senses receded, the memory faded. Hey, Kidney. I know it's Katie, but whatever.
Oh, it's you. I'm so glad you came by. I hoped I'd have the chance to thank you properly.
I'm sorry. Oh, right, I saved your life.
They told me what happened. God's bless you, sir. I owe you my life. I know it was foolish of me to run in there. But this ring is all that I have of my family.
And what's so special about it?
Sentiment, mostly. When he first settled here, my grandfather had a ring fashioned from the first batch of ore he excavated. It was supposed to commemorate his fresh start. He passed it on to his daughter, and my mother gave it to me in turn.
How are you holding up?
Oh, I'm managing. Fenway's letting me stay with her until I'm back on my feet. Everyone's been lovely, really. It was hard seeing what's left of the house. But Raywald says he's going to see a hut raised for me soon as they get the logs.
I'm very sorry about the guy who died there, but whatever. You can't say them all.
Something I can do for you?
I feel Foriana's essence and almost instantly find myself wrapped in darkness. It takes me a moment to realize that I've plunged into a very old memory. But as my eyes adjusted to the torchlight, I found myself standing in a gloomy tunnel that I instantly recognized as part of Dungan's battery. A handful of figures in patchy cloaks and hoods, dwarves like me, hunch over a minecart. They're loading it with cloth-wrapped bundles, from which I sense the occasional flash of meat. The edge of the blade to the burning glow of blade. The other dwarfs scurry with curious mixture of haste and caution. They stack the bundles in dim-witched clags and triumphs, following the echoes of their trickle down the tunnel with nervous eyes.
Pay attention. Sooner we get this done, sooner we can go.
My voice was dry, and my nerves tingled with energy. I felt the same apprehension that the others do, but unlike them, I relished it. Still, I looked over my shoulder, just in case.
We're hurrying, Captain Gregor. Honest.
When I turned back, the others had rebounded their efforts, and I felt a pleasurable twist in my gut as they felt the car. Being captain of the car doesn't pay much, but it does allow me to visit the armory without raising eyebrows, and with the commander Zotan selling off half of the battery's arsenal, who's going to notice a few more missing pieces? Besides, I've got a buyer lined up, as long as I can move these goods out of the battery before someone squeals. As I surfaced in the memory, I realized that awakening will be permanent for Owena. There may be others in town. I could awaken instead. I looked up at Owena staring at me.
Sir? Excuse me, sir. You alright?
Her head is cocked and her brow is furrowed. I'm alright. I'll let you go back to your work. Well, that's one of the people. Is there anyone I don't actually like or care about? Hefrick.
Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do for you?
I saw a room, dark and pub, a cellar. It looks like part of the inn rather than an old fortress, though Herbrick's eyes I admires my row of glancing bottles recently distilled and polished. As I stepped back from the shelves, I looked at this with satisfaction at the presumed plate concealed in some stone floor.
You alright? I won't serve you if you're already drunk, you know.
I'm fine. I do need to rest here, though.
Didn't think there was anything more than lice and hoarfrost to these folk, but you had a look back there. What do you find when you're rooting around like that?
Nothing important. Just some miserable people with their miserable everyday lives. Not even trying to become important, or even have a sense of ambition.
Yeah? And I'll bet you could do the same to anyone in this village. Easy as looking at 'em.
You seem very, very interested in these villagers all of a sudden. Do you want me to do something?
Mayhap I'm looking for someone. Woodcutter, by the name of Harmka.
Does this have something to do with Court Morn?
It sure does.
Her fingers tightened into a fist, the metal squiggling and rattling.
He was one of them. The mob that destroyed Cold Morn. I tracked him to Stalwart years ago, but got caught before I could finish my business.
You want me to help you murder him?
Oh, don't go all soft on me. He's had it coming.
I'm not going soft. I just want to be absolutely clear that you want him dead and not just tortured.
This man, Harmka. I saw him outside my house the night it burned, staring into the flames the way I seen you stare into souls.
Ah, a pyromancer.
I knew it were a fool's errand trying to hunt down every man and woman that carried a torch into Cold Morn. But
You know, they could have actually made it so two of these companions are not compatible, and when they saw each other they would fight. Or, you know, they would fight at some point and I had to choose one of them. The other one would die.
If I knew I got the one responsible for my kin and my hearth, I might could rest easy.
Okay, how can you be so sure about this fella?
I took a good long look that night. Ours was a little place with a yellow door right on the edge of town. He was there. Besides, I asked around when I first got to Stalwart. Townsfolk said that all the woodcutters in town took part in the purge. Point of pride for them.
And you want me to do what exactly?
I told you he was part of the mob. I spotted him watching my house when it burned. But when we find him, I want to know if he's the one responsible for my home, my parents, and my brothers and sister.
One of her thumbs rubbed essentially and scratched on her hand.
I never thought I'd have the chance to know for sure. But you could look into his soul and find out. You being a watcher and all.
Finding out might be getting you hopes up. How would you feel about a solid hunch instead? I'll do what I can.
Mighty fine of you. Mighty fine indeed.
She nodded again, her head bubbling along a growly candidate.
Don't know where he dallies these days, but someone in Stalwart could tell us. People from little villages, they always know.
Govino said you murdered several people before he transformed you.
Effigy's eyes, that man loved to talk.
Do you regret it?
You want to hear me say yes, don't you?
No. Actually, it's quite the opposite. I want you to know that I value confidence far more than innocence.
You'd have me go on about how I thought long and hard on my crimes, how I'd spend my own essence if it would quicken the men and women I killed.
Why did you kill those people?
If it's sane and logical reasoning you're wanting, you're gonna be disappointed. Ain't no sense in any of it.
I just want to know. A soft hissing noise came out from the bronze column. I recognized it as a sign.
Mayhap you've heard of Coldmore. Was a quiet, forgettable patch of the woods.
No, that's the first...
Rabid clodhoppers set it afire.
I was about to say, that's the first time I ever heard of it. I mean, it's not like we just discussed it 5 seconds ago. The fingers of one hand twitch and click against one another in a pair of sudden specific motion, something like this. Yeah.
That was the start of the purges. Dear Woodens killing their own.
You're upset? A sudden burst of clear flares from her things, her essence surged and boiled.
A farmer on the other side of the mountains woke up one day with his head all aflame and took it for the gibbering speech of his god.
I like you more and more.
And so did a few thousand of his countrymen. So when he tired of Vorlus fields and marched west, a horde of armed Hicks followed. St. Widwin and his blazing crusade celebrated his coup in Raid Saris by invading the Deerwood.
Yes, I read about this. He got blown up. Pathetic fool.
Most of his forces headed north to Halgat Citadel, but a lucky few thousand ventured through the mountains. Through Cold Morn. We let him pass.
You were from Cold Morn? When I heard what happened out there after the war, I couldn't believe my ears.
Fine line between couldn't and wouldn't.
I guess you didn't have much choice.
Try telling a few hundred crazed Deer Woodens. We got news of the raid Sarens coming through the mountains. Begged the Duke for help, we did. Didn't send us so much as a bare-ass novitiate. They went to towns with full coffers and lofty connections. So we let Widewind soldiers pass. Left him for the Duke to wrangle on his own terms.
So Cold Morn was purged in retaliation.
Was after the Godhammer made a fine grit out of Widewind, when Deerwoodens were running on rage and looking for something to burn.
I caught a glimmer and glanced at her seeming razor-thin wrist, pulled tight within her body.
They came at dark, hundreds of folk. Every one of them mourning someone lost in the war. Must have decided it was our duty to escort their dead back to the wheel. They didn't light their torches till they had us surrounded. Time we saw them, there was a ring of fire closing around us.
She paused. The mechanism in back of her skull clicked dully.
I woke. Ran to the window. Whole village were a maze of flames. Couldn't see nothing for the smoke. And the screams.
Her thumb spasmed to a strange rhythmic beat.
Most ran for the streets. Got caught by the mob. Others hid, let their houses burn down around them.
And what did you do to survive?
Ran, fought, hid, burned. Same as my neighbors and family. Just
Yes.
luckier.
Someone should have made those guys pay.
That was my thinking, too.
And let me guess, those crimes, those people you killed.
You said yourself that someone needed to bring the hammer down on the scum that raised Cold Morn.
We couldn't have hoped to get them all.
Well, we just gotta do our best with what time the gods give us, don't we?
I am kind of impressed, actually.
I'd have been more pleased myself if I hadn't gotten caught like this. And if I'd gotten through a few more first. It were a mob that destroyed our village, but it was just one man that burned my family's house. Kept hoping I'd get to him as I was working my way through the rest of those maggots. No matter now, I suppose.
Yeah, no matter. Let's go find your man. Right.
Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do for you?
Do you know the man named Harmk?
The woodcutter? Sure do. Head west from the village, then go north. If you see the frozen stream, you've gone too far. Usually works a stand of trees out in the russet wood, though he steps out from time to time.
Good to know.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Harmka? Oh, right. The guy the devil wanted to...
The devil of Karok should hear this at glance, and he clapped his own mouth shut, covering it with hand. He looked at Halfrek and smiled innocently. I'd like a room.
Top quality bear pelts on every bed. You won't be disappointed.
It's still one of the best rooms, though it only lasts for one rest. Carol's Morning Star. Haven't seen this thing before. Oh, that's actually kind of cool because when word got around that I was looking for artifacts, thousands of people started coming along, offering me trinkets and otherwise worthless machines they claimed were glorious heritage from some unknown lord. These pieces caught my eye. Mabrek's Morning Star. The paladin Mabrek was caught so on an ancient forest by vivid dream. In this dream he watched a tree grow from a seeding in the talus tree in the forest, only to be fallen by lightning strike. He saw himself placing his hand inside the hollow trunk and withdrawing a morning star of incomparable power. Mabrek rode into the forest following his memory of the dream, only to find the great tree completely intact. Far from civilization and armed only with his sword, Mabrek nevertheless began to hack at the tree trunk. It took weeks, but he was eventually able to fall the tree. Again, however, Mabrek was confounded. He found no hollow on the trunk, nor a weapon of any kind. Undaunted, he continued to hack the trunk all the way to the tree's thick center, which he left intact. When he finished, he looked at the core of the tree, and had it fashioned it was soft of a morning star. He had his own blade, now as blunt as a wooden sword, melted and reforged into a morning star's head. So powerful was Maverick's belief in the truth of his vision that the new weapon, though completely unremarkable in its material, took on its Mazer zeal and became great in its own right. As I examined the weapon, I was absolutely sure that this was, in fact, Maverick's morning star. It could interrupt strong people, yeah, it could interrupt everyone for 1 second. The damage was remarkable, 16 to 23 crash damage, accuracy versus deflection. It could bypass damage reduction. It was a fine weapon. And it could stun people on critical hits. Yeah, sure. It's actually a rather cheap weapon. Right, let's head west, find that woodcutter, and bring his head to the chopping block. Let's go to Russellwood. Hello, what is this? I'm missing quite a lot of these things. Apparently. Ah, are those the woodcutters? I want you to speak with them. Where's it, Mac? They're all here. Go slower.
Uh-huh.
Woodcutter.
I'm going.
It's him, Harmk. I remember that weak chin and those knobby knees. She stopped staring motionless at the figure amongst the trees. I've got an arrow ready for whichever one of them needs it.
How goes?
The elven man emerged into the clearing and freezes, staring at the Devil of Karok. For now he's tall and raggy, with weather-beaten face beneath his prickly crazy hair. The others with him turned glaring at the Gripsing of bronze golem.
Auroch's shadow. What's that wicked thing doing here?
Carmack swallowed a lump, bobbing in his neck. Why are you so nervous?
It's a killer! Look, we don't want no trouble. Just trying to do our work.
Oh, shut up.
We'd be much obliged if you'd leave us be. And take that thing with you.
He looked at the devil with a mixture of terror and loathing. Enough, what do you see, Yliel? Is that the man? And so I reached out to read his soul. He stepped away from me, but my awareness reached through his trembling skin and the feeble resistance of his fear. I saw memories of snow-shrouded fortress, threatened by a fallen prize and fears, days measured by the steady swing of my axe. There are other moments too, recollection that flare up like harsh welcoming fire. There are children spraying like link like you, but still full of rowdy energy of youth. Together you scatter wind-blown petals on the grave. I reach deeper into the hammock's soul. Years roll back, a torch your fair left hand bats your face and shudder it hid. All round you are other men and women holding our torches and mountain air in arctic with stench and smoke and sweat. Rage billows off the others. It's been fever for your blood for days now, exhausting you and invigorating you in equal measure. I am at the edge of that town. Code More. It hour yet before dawn, but the commotion has started to awaken the village. Candlelight ignites beneath the frost-crushing windows, and haunted faces peer out anew through the glass. I began to doubt myself. Just then the door slammed. A villager came out, racing through the streets, kicking up snow. With his dark white face and pale hair, he looked almost like a ghost. The line of torchbearers rippled at the gut and gets closer. He picks up a spread, and nobody moves towards him. I imagined him breaking through the row, shattering your rank, like the bad dream that brought you all here. I imagined waking up in my bed. The heat warms my touch, nothing more than the warmth of my wife sleeping next to me. Instead, the villager reached out to row torchbearers, a stone and throw away from a woman, advanced from the line and burst her dagger in his neck. The rest of your followers shout, rage, memory, and bloodthirsty triumph boil up. We all came with purpose. We all came to bring justice to the traitors of Code Morn. There is no doubt in my mind now. This man is indeed the one who not needs to die. You put your touch on anything that starts and your sword to anyone who runs. It is as if Morgan himself whispers in your ear and guides your hand. Exhaustion has almost cooled your rage when you spy a house at the edge of town, one of the only buildings that hasn't already burned. It is flanked by knotty first trees, and the door is pinned yellow, the bud of a sunrise, the hue of your son's hair, the claw of cowardice. Why is that the core of God? Never mind. Just then, someone burrows into you from behind. It's a man, someone you remember from the journey of Code Morn. Though you can't recall his name, he snarls at you, mad with incriminated rage, and it occurs to you that he is mistaking you for one of the villagers. You smash the window or hurl your torch inside. The other man has turned away. You think you hear a child shriek within the house, but it is impossible to tell about the roar and riot. Oh yeah, a single child, that's gonna make you regret what you were doing there. Henrik shivers as you pull away from his memory. His eyes are white with guilt and fear. Spit it out. What did you see? He burned down your house. She stared at Henrik. I heard only whining mechanism in her throat, but Henrik leaned closer.
What did you say?
His mouth quivered. What did it feel like? The torch in your hand, the blade you carried, what did they feel like? The wild, inhumane scream echoed out in the bizarre machinery of her throat. It dropped Hamrick and his companions to their knees, where they cry out in terror. Gears squirm and crank as she rushed at him. Take them down.
I'm here.
This one's yours. Now show them true terror. I'm gonna go and protect her for now. Her armor is not really that good.
I'm here.
He's yours. The one that got away. The archers are aiming for her. Both of them. I want you to retreat.
Sure.
It wouldn't matter. Get out of here. I believe you can take this one out. Paralyze this one. Good. Everyone here. Finish him all better.
Yes?
Really?
Gotcha.
Thank you. Well, that was satisfying as hell.
Almost 15 years I've been looking for him.
She stared ahead as I approached, the ink-black marbles of her eyes fixed on some distant point. Her essence swelled and swirled in those of contemplation.
All that fretting and wondering. And the deed's over in less time than it takes to tell.
My cousin said something similar after her wedding night. Hamrick got what he deserved. That's what matters.
Then I shiver to think on the judgment you pass on me.
A metallic chunk echoed from her throat.
I killed a lot of folk in my time. Felt their blood slick in my hands, smelled their flesh as it burned. And I always used to imagine what it would be like to have Harmka under my knife, feeling his breath come hard and fast, smelling the fear ooze out of him.
Get on with it.
Couldn't feel a thing. His fading pulse weren't no more than a powder of rain to me.
Trust me, he's definitely dead.
I know, but I wanted to feel it, you understand?
She reached toward me with a sudden desperate intensity.
This body, it weren't made for feeling. Gouging my fingers into Harmka's wasting flesh, his screams just buzzing in my skull.
She flexed and influxed her fingers in a few lightning-quick motions.
All it did was remind me.
Remind you?
That this is a madman's fever dream. Like a prison, but no, because in a prison, you lay your head down and you feel the straw soft beneath you. Your flesh prickling in the cold, black bread crumbling on your tongue. Pain and pleasure are a distraction. You're lucky to avoid them. I can say that, but I won't. Let me think. No, I actually don't have anything to say about this. If I could remain silent, maybe I would have. She turned her arms in front of her, extending the scrollwork of the back of her hand. Horror and wonder. If you want your flesh back, perhaps there is a way to bring it. Or maybe we can kill someone. You know, someone not that important. And just fix your soul into his body and hope they are compatible. After all, what is a man? But flesh. But a machine made out of flesh. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. She made an ugly, continuous sound like a snort. I still dream on folk. I wake up some mornings wondering why I can't feel the floor beneath me, thinking I must have fallen and gone crippled. But then I lift my head, see a bronze corpse stretching out in front of me.
At least you're alive. That is something.
I dreamed too of what Galvino did that night. Those moments. I'd endure another cold morn if it'd spare me this fate.
And what exactly happened?
It was after I got caught in Stalwart. They'd locked me in a little house by the inn, the old mayor and his cronies.
Then?
When a crowd of them came for me in the dark of night, I was only surprised it had taken them so long. Only they didn't march me to no gallows. No. They snuck me to another house on the edge of town, real sneaky-like. That's where I met Galvino.
And why was he there?
He was fiddling with some machinery in his workshop. Had his sleeves rolled up even though it was cold enough to see your breath. Never actually looked at me until he started fitting some copper helmet over my head. By that time, the mayor's goons had me trussed up good and tight. Galvino was having himself a grand time barking orders at that lot.
I see where this is going, I believe.
So while Galvino's fastening that helmet over my head and them copper bands around my arms, I'm starting to look at his contraption. And that's when I see it. It's this metal suit strapped into the machine just like me. A cold, dead-eyed thing, all done up with fancy carvings and such.
Did you know what they intended?
I had this terrible cold feeling in my gut, but I still couldn't figure. I start asking Galvino and the rest of them what's going on, but they're too busy to answer. Then suddenly, they're waiting, staring at me with that fixed, horrified look, but they ain't watching me. They're watching for something to happen.
Her eyes flickered, rolling in scar behind her face.
Galvino tells the woman nearest the machine to flip the handle. And then, just pain. Being torn apart every which way, feeling my soul peeled from my body.
Her limbs twitched and shuddered. She paused, waiting for her body to fall still.
By the time I came to, I couldn't feel a thing. Just this dull, distant sort of ache.
I heard the old man crackling and chattering. When I saw him looming over me, looking down at me with hungry eyes, I tried to scream, tried to swing at him.
I think that was when I knew.
And that's how you ended up here.
Sure enough, and how Galvino ended up in that little shack. The rest of Stalwart didn't take kindly to having a killer in their midst, nor to seeing their mayor and the ornery Valians strike a secret deal. They drove Galvino out, destroyed a fortune in machinery, and wrote a letter to the Academy in Salona, ruining what was left of his name. Still, he's lucky he didn't get a pelting. The old mayor fled too, and Stalwart's been as snug and cheery as ever.
Now that we've done with Hunk, why are you here?
You're better company than Galvino.
She said in an offended, dazing fashion, but she looked away from you, flinching retrieved.
Been a while since I were out in the world. Guess I'm keen on seeing more of it, even if I'm stuck with a bleeding heart. Anyways, I've been wondering about that fortress.
You're acting unusually coy. She's quite fixated in her squiggling joint.
Near everyone thinks it'll have just the thing they need.
She takes a list of her slinking fingers.
Those villagers wanted to fix up their brook downtown. Galvino always thought it carried some great secret of Animanson, and all them adventurers came looking for fancy gear.
And what is it that you hope to find?
I don't know. Something to help me feel, or forget. Effigy's eyes, maybe just something new. I just figured, with those dwarves being expert smiths and all, maybe they had something to unmake me, put me back into my body.
Perhaps we'll find something yet.
You really think so, huh? Well, ain't like you to blast hot air.
Let's go. If this is your ambition, then perhaps I'll find time to help you achieve it. But for now, I'm going to end this episode. Thank you all for joining me, and I'm gonna see you all next time. Goodbye.